A lot of people know about type A, type B, or type 1, type 2 personalities, but I think it's important to understand what these chemicals actually mean in your brain. So I've talked before about the chemicals dopamine, which provides us with a ton of motivation, and serotonin, which is often the feel-good chemical, which makes us kind of more laid back, chill, and calm. But did you know that it can depend on what type of individual that you are predominantly driven by one chemical more than the other? So in today's video, I'm going to help you figure out whether you're dopamine driven or serotonin driven, and how this can actually help you tailor your diet to your constitution. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Shashank. I am on the quest to become as fit and healthy as possible, and I'm using this channel to share everything that I have learned and am learning with you guys on this process. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you can stay up to date when I post new content. I post a new video every single Monday and you don't want to miss it. So with that, let's get into the video. So first we need to talk about what does it mean to be dopamine driven versus serotonin driven. So I've talked about how dopamine is the go-getter chemical. So these people are often the ones who are always on the go, always looking for caffeine, maybe quick sugary carbs. This is probably your typical high energy ectomorph person who just seems to survive on sugar and caffeine all day. These people are essentially looking for dopamine and adrenaline their entire lives and are relying on that for motivation. They look for instant gratification, whether that's in their career, whether that's in their food, or whether that's even in their workouts. Now, if you're serotonin driven, on the other hand, you prefer a slow and steady wins the race kind of attitude. You are looking to set reasonable goals and make sure that you attain those goals in a timely fashion, but you don't tend to overdo it and you don't tend to look for quick results. So a lot of times you'll find that these people never crave caffeine, often look to do slow and methodical things, and generally don't tend to do very much high intensity exercise. You probably thrive on consistency, balance, and something like complex carbs and healthy fats. So now let's talk about dieting for dopamine driven types. Here's where it becomes interesting. If you are dopamine driven, then you can probably get away with eating a lot more sugary, sweet, caffeinated things just because you tend to thrive on the crash in dopamine that comes right afterwards. When we take in caffeine such as black coffee, or we take in something that spikes our blood sugar, we experience a drop in dopamine afterwards. This then leads to reward-seeking behavior, and a lot of times what people might perceive this as is hunger and look for, again, a dopamine spike through food. But if you are a traditional ectomorph or dopamine-driven individual, you have learned to repurpose that dopamine spike into finding ways to achieve dopamine in another way, such as working out, making career moves, or even a conversation with some friends. So for you, this is not actually a problem. So the highs are high, but the lows can also be very low with these foods. And what I will say is that if you are injured, then this is not the time to lean into your dopamine driven side, because when you are injured, your usual methods of getting dopamine are not available to you, so you're much more likely to turn to food. Now, this can be a vicious cycle, and often what I think and suspect happens to a lot of athletes. When they stop working out or they get injured, they often tend to put on a lot of weight, and I think it's because they're used to having so much dopamine coming into their brains from the exercise they used to do, from lifting weights, and you take that all away and your brain tries to find a way to replace it. So what I recommend here is, if you are injured or if you don't have access to exercise or something, then what you're going to want to do is either limit your dopamine kind of spiking foods, such as, high amounts of caffeine, sugars, anything that's highly palatable, or you find a hobby that you can do with your limitations that's going to provide energy expenditure and is going to stimulate you, provide that sense of reward without having to turn to food. Now, if you're a serotonin driven type, what you're going to want to do is actually focus on foods that are steady energy. You're going to want to have your coffee with some milk. Maybe you're the person who wants to have oatmeal in the mornings instead of an energy bar. Maybe you're going to want to go for quinoa with some olive oil, some salmon, something to ground you. Now, what I will say is that for serotonin people, often you can be tending to overeat just because foods can give a lot of serotonin boost, especially if you're feeling down or depressed. You're also more likely to be very carb focused and not want to get in enough protein, because protein is, again, very dopaminergic. It doesn't give us a lot of serotonin if we don't exercise. And a lot of times if you're serotonin driven, you might be prone to a more sedentary lifestyle. So what I can say for your diet is, if you are serotonin driven, is to first of all prioritize movement. You want to incorporate as much low intensity movement throughout the day as you can. Make sure that there are no options, because given the option, it's not that you're lazy, you're probably just more calm, laid back, your body doesn't necessarily want to get up and run around. So what I will say is that you should make it so that there are no options. You should have to walk to work, or you should have to walk to the grocery store. Eliminate the option of driving or ordering stuff online, and that will help you a lot. Also, what I will say is to get your serotonin hits, you're going to want to focus on foods that actually provide more serotonin bang for the buck. So on days that you might be feeling especially stressed, it might be better to go for the ground turkey rather than it would be to go for the ground beef, right? Turkey is very high in tryptophan, which will then get converted into serotonin. So if you are looking a way to get protein, but also get your serotonin hit, ground turkey is really the way to go. Some other notable things that will help you stabilize serotonins are, again, whole grains, healthy fats, and maybe even some vegetables just for fiber, because fiber actually releases serotonin in the gut. What you don't want to do is go get a bunch of junk, because as I've said before on this channel, allergic reactions also trigger a release of serotonin, which is often why we are prone to eat things that are bad for us. So what if you're a little bit of both? What if you find yourself being dopamine driven one day and serotonin driven the other? And I think a lot of us probably find ourselves in this category more than the others. Some days we'll find ourselves craving that caffeine boost because we're low on energy, and some days we just want to take it slow, take it calm, and eat something that kind of grounds us, mellows us out. And this is more what I would call eating in tune with your circadian rhythm. What you're going to want to do here is be more dopamine driven in the mornings and afternoons, and more serotonin driven towards the evenings and nights. And this aligns with your circadian rhythm. So what I will say is to do your high energy activities and have your high energy foods in the morning. So maybe more protein, more fat, but maybe even lean protein, so it spikes your blood sugar a little bit quicker. Get your black coffee. All of these things, have it in the morning, and follow it up with some high intensity exercise if that's what you plan to do. But then as the day goes on, you're going to want to switch to more healthy carbs and healthy fats. This way you're not getting all that dopamine from the protein, and you're more likely to be able to wind down and get a better night of sleep. So in this case, I would say maybe for dinner, you're trying to have oatmeal, you're trying to have quinoa, you're trying to have avocado, all of these good healthy carbs and fats that will ease you off of that dopamine spike and will help you recover, build muscle, and sleep better. But I will stress that it is important to stay in tune with your body and mind. Now, as I mentioned, it's important to tailor this response based on the type of needs that you have in the moment. Again, if you're very injury prone, there's really no reason for you to go on a dopamine driven diet, because you're probably just going to get fat or crave more food. If you are working out a lot, then there's probably no reason for you to go on a serotonin diet, because you'll find that you probably just won't have the energy you need to perform. And of course, if you're someone in the middle, then you just need to listen to yourself day to day and honor your body's needs, as intuitive eating, I believe, can actually help you a lot when it comes to figuring out whether you need more dopamine or serotonin. As you play around with these diets, you will find that you have better control, you have a better understanding of what your brain is looking for, and you'll be able to manage your cravings that much better. So that's how you should change your diet if you are dopamine driven versus serotonin driven, or somewhere in the middle. Comment down below, did you find this video helpful? Is there anything else that you'd like me to discuss? And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Please don't stop now. Go ahead and watch one of the 2 videos that'll pop up on screen. Good luck tailoring your brain's chemicals to your diet, and I'll see you in the next video.